Hey guys, this is Jimmy D, and now that you hear my voice, now it's time for you to see my face. Okay, anyway, let me just get right into this. I'm going to do my Q&A, of course, now for my 350 subscriber special. It was originally going to be my 300 subscriber special, but I got a ton of subscribers just within the past week or so, and so, yeah, I just skipped to 350. And I know it's really nothing that spectacular to have a Q&A for a subscriber special, but honestly, the only difference between a subscriber special YouTube poop and a regular YouTube poop for me is that I put the word subscriber special in the title of the video. And then I also like to reference milk money for no apparent reason other than the fact that I did in my first special, and I've just decided to keep doing that. Okay, so what I'm doing for the questions is I just kind of have them in random order. I just trying to kind of mix it up, but occasionally there's some specific types of questions are grouped together to make it kind of follow along with the theme for a few questions in a row, but for the most part it's just kind of random, mixed around. There are a couple of questions that I ended up censoring a couple of words on the question, and when I actually show you the text on, it's going to be pretty obvious what words are censored because they'll be in italics, and there's really only, I think, 3 words total that I ended up censoring. So, other than that, let's move on to the first question. The Floridian Hoosier, YT, asked, what inspired you to create this YouTube channel? And a similar question came from Marie Eck. Why did you start making YTPs in the first place? So, the way that I got started making YTPs, like actually doing a YouTube channel dedicated to YTPs, because I made a couple of really minor YouTube poops, like really short mini YouTube poops before I started my YouTube poop channel. Like I did a CDI YTP of, it was called The King Comes Out of the Closet. It's basically just a joke that I've seen other people do and do it much better, so that's why I uploaded on my regular channel for a while, but then I took it down because I didn't want to have YouTube poops mixed in with my regular content, so I took that down. I never uploaded it onto my poop channel, but it wasn't very good, like I said. And then I was working on another one, Kids React YTP, for my brother's channel, a guy that loves pooping, and he didn't really seem to want me to put it up on his channel. He kept trying to convince me to create my own channel, but I was gonna put it up, gonna make it so it would go up on his channel as like a guest poop or whatever, and I didn't get around to finishing that until after I started my YouTube channel. But anyway, so the reason why I actually started this YouTube channel was because of a VeggieTales collab by YoungJ97. Yes, YoungJ97. Because my brother made a poop of the first VeggieTales episode, and I saw that, and when I was watching it, I was coming up with ideas that I was telling him he should have done. Like I said, he should have, because Junior said that he likes it, so I told him that he should have made him watching a stupid video on a tablet or an iPhone or whatever, and say it. When he said that he likes it, he actually literally clicks like, and I think I came up with the blue guy, the blue monster, whatever the thing is called, in the picture, which I honestly don't see why people are actually afraid of this. It's never really creeped me out. It kind of just looks like a lethargic, melting blue Dabba-Dee alien head, but I don't know, anyway. So, after I started coming up with all these ideas for it, I eventually decided just to make my own YTP and start up a new channel, a YouTube poop channel, and I entered into the collab, and yeah, I guess it's really what inspired me to start making YTPs and to make this YTP channel was because of YoungJ97's VeggieTales collab. This one also comes from the Floridian Hoosier YT. Did your first video get popular when you first uploaded it? Actually, yeah, it did. My first VeggieTales, my first YouTube poop was a collab entry, of course. It was the Junior's Traumatizing Home Invasion Experience, and I'm trying to think. I'll put text up. I didn't think to look this up before I made this video, but it got a lot of views really fast, like thousands of views before I even had like 50 subscribers, I think. And right now it's my most viewed video at like 30,000, maybe it's 31,000 by now. It's pretty close to there. But yeah, I was surprised at how many views it got, and then I uploaded another YouTube poop, my next YouTube poop, and I thought that I was going to get the same response basically, but I think right now that's my least viewed video. I think that has like 700 something views, like close to 800 I think right now, but Yeah, no, the first one really picked up fast. Cybercross11 asked, where do babies come from? Babies come from mommy. Daddy helped. Cybercross11 also asked, what made you interested in YTPs? Similar question came from DONKEH. What was the first YTP you have ever seen? The first YouTube poop I ever remember seeing, I don't know if this was actually the first one I saw, but it was one of the earliest ones I remember seeing was this YouTube poop of I think it's a fan-made, yeah, it's a fan-made music video for Weird Al's Albuquerque song. It's called Albuquerque. And I rewatched it when I was looking up, you know, trying to find my earliest YouTube poop memories, and it's really not that great.
Way back when I was just a little bitty boy and living in a box under the stairs in the corner of the basement of the house half a block down the street from Jerry's bait shop. You know the place.
No. First one I actually watched and remembered liking and watching more than once was Mario and Luigi Travel Through Time. I'm pretty sure it's by Walrus Guy.
I hope you meant some spaghetti.
Luigi, look! We gotta go poo-poo. And you gotta help us.
Yeah, that was the first one that I actually remember liking, you know, like I said. And then after that I just kind of started, you know, I didn't really keep up to date on YouTube poops. I don't even know if I really knew if that was, YouTube poop was a thing. I think I just kind of thought that was a title that people gave it. Like I remember when I was, you know, this would have been probably when I was 14, would have been 7 years ago, something like that. But I remember coming up with the idea to make a YouTube parody called You Poop or something like that, and then when I saw somebody did YouTube Poop, I thought, you know, oh man, somebody stole my idea or something like that, but I don't think I actually knew that it was an actual thing, and so I didn't really watch a whole lot of YouTube Poops after watching Mario and Luigi Travel Through Time, but I do remember eventually coming across these really spadinner heavy YTPs that were, it was like how about a game of You Must Die?
How about a game of
You Must Die!
Whoa! I've never played this game before. What's it called?
Or there's Spaghetti Afoot.
There's spaghetti afoot. Spaghetti!
It burns!
All I said was there's spaghetti afoot.
Will you please
Die!
And I remember really liking these for some reason, and I'd watch those a few times and then just kind of stopped watching YouTube poops altogether again. And then probably 3 years ago, I think my brother introduced me to The Things 1, and that's when I really started watching YouTube poops again, and I've really been watching them ever since. DONKEH also asks, how did you discover Michael Rosen? Well, I discovered Michael Rosen through YouTube poop, and I'm not 100% sure which was the first Michael Rosen YouTube poop I watched, but I know it was a The Things 1 YouTube poop. I looked through all my history of liked videos, and I eventually came across the first one was that I liked, actually clicked like on, was The Outing by The Things 1.
The teacher said, quiet please. Rog said, no need to shout. The teacher said, no need to breathe.
But my brother said that the first one he showed me was Ring Around the Rosen, which was probably the first one I saw.
I'm house.
But either way, I saw both of those around the same time. That's when I first found out about Michael Rosen, and yeah, I guess that's it. And DONKEH also asked, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would chuck wood? It's could chuck wood. The woodchuck would chuck wood if it could chuck wood, but it can't chuck wood because it's not capable of chucking wood. So if it could chuck wood, it would chuck wood. But as for how much wood would the woodchuck chuck, it really depends on specific things like, you know, what's the physical build of the woodchuck? Is this like an anthropomorphic woodchuck that has like big human arms or something like that? And why is it chucking wood in the first place? Is it doing it out of necessity? Is it doing it for sport? Is it, you know, what? I need some more information before I can give you a full answer. SonicHaXD asks, do you have a fetish for vegetable? What? What, do I have a No? No, I don't have a fetish for vegetables. No, fruit, yes, but not vegetables, you pervert. J. Sherard. Before I go any further, I should just apologize for calling you a pervert, Sonic. You're not actually a pervert. I hope not. I hope you're not a pervert. J. Sherard asks, do you like boobs or butts? Well, I got boobs and I got butts, so I guess I tolerate both of them. J. Sherard also asks, do you like Invader Zim? I've never actually seen a full episode of Invader Zim, but I have seen clips of it and I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I would definitely watch it if I had the chance. And J. Sherard also asks, also, that random guy that keeps appearing in your poops, why do you like to use him so much? Okay, so the random guy he's talking about is Michael Rosen.
We know that, you fool.
And as for why I use him so much,
I don't know.
Danny Zero asks, what inspired you to use Michael Rosen as one of your sources? Because he's hilarious. Similar question comes from RCT3 is Epic, who asks, here's a question for your Q&A. Why do all of your YTPs have Michael Rosen? So the comment I got from Danny Zero didn't actually have any punctuation marks or anything in it, so I added them there because I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious where he meant to put them. But just do this for your answer to that question. Take the first part of Danny Zero's question, and then take the second half of his question and say that that's the answer that I gave. Do I need to say more? Andrew Floyd asks, what is a song that you play at the end of every single video? The song that I use at the end of all my videos for the credits is called Gaslamp Funworks by Kevin MacLeod. And this is what it sounds like in the credits for a video. But one of the things I did is I increased the tempo a lot, because this is what it sounds like originally.
That's enough.
Billy Willie asks, will you make a Toy Story YTP in the future? Probably, yeah. I really like to stick with pooping things that I'm familiar with and things that I like. I can reference things that I don't like or things that I'm just kind of neutral to in my YouTube poops, but for the most part, like for a main source, I like to try to stick to things that I actually like because those are things that I've seen more and those are things that I know how to spoof better. To quote Mel Brooks, I might be quoting him wrong, but I'm pretty sure that he said, in order to spoof it, you have to love it. And so that's kind of what I do. And I've seen obviously I like Toy Story. I'm a human, so I've seen it hundreds of times, and I'm sure I'll probably end up pooping it sometime in the future. Axis asks, are you going to make YTPs of the other sources you've referenced? I don't know. It just depends on the source, really. I like to use sources, just randomly put in there, because, like, for example, one of the things that a lot of people tend to do, like when they notice a mistake in the thing they're pooping, is they'll just kind of pause the video and then put text up on the screen to explain, that, look, they're floating in midair or whatever. And I don't think that's really bad necessarily. I just prefer to actually use an audio clip like,
They're floating in midair! How do they do that?
Because I think that it just works better that way. And that's using an external source from the main source that I'm using for the poop. That doesn't mean I'm going to poop that source in the future. And actually, usually when I get a source to use in a YTP, I don't even ever think about pooping it. I just think of getting it for that one specific clip. Axis also asked, why don't you give Michael Rosen a bigger role in your YTPs? I mean, sure, you gave him a hilarious scene in the last YTP, not Larry Man, but he deserves a full YTP. I actually have had a full-length Michael Rosen YTP planned out for quite a while. It's just, it's more or less an idea, a concept, rather than a full planned out YTP, so it might not happen for a while, and actually it might not even happen at all if I can't get any good ideas, but that's all I'm going to say for right now, is that it's a Michael Rosen YTP. It's going to be more or less story-based, assuming I can get it right, and yeah, it'll probably come out sometime in the future, hopefully, unless, like I said, I just can't come up with any more ideas, but otherwise I'll definitely make a Michael Rosen YTP. One of the reasons why I kind of like to steer away from that is because Michael Rosen's been used in hundreds, if not thousands, of YTPs already, and it'd just be so easy to accidentally reuse other people's jokes, and I like to try to not use other people's jokes as much as I possibly can. Like whenever I poop a VeggieTales episode, I like to go and watch other poops of that specific episode to see if anybody's already made those jokes that I'm planning on making. And so far it's only actually happened once. Electro Music Fan 47 asks, are you going to do a VeggieTales YouTube poop next? I'm not actually working on a VeggieTales YouTube poop right now. I do have some planned out that I'll get to working on eventually, but I'm trying to I'm working on a YouTube poop right now, and I have a couple other YTP MV type things that I may or may not finish. It's just depends on if I think that they're turning out good enough. And then, I've got a an invite to a YTP collab that I think I'll probably end up joining. I just need to come up with an idea for that. And I don't really want to use I want to try to stay away from using VeggieTales YTPs for my collab entries unless it's a VeggieTales specific collab. But I might do actually, I was just thinking about earlier doing a YTP using VeggieTales episodes that I've already used in YouTube poops, because I don't like to repoop the same source over and over. I've never repooped the same source that I can think of. So I might do that. Might just take some of the other VeggieTales stuff that I have already pooped and make new poops out of that if I can come up with new jokes and stuff like that. Like I said, the next one's not going to be VeggieTales, but there will be more VeggieTales in the future. Electromusic Fan 47 also asks, can you possibly do anime, TV show, movie, and trailer YouTube poops? I've never really seen much anime before. I think that's just really not the type of thing that I'm into. I know that anime is a pretty broad term, that a lot of things can qualify as anime. And, especially if you're including anime-inspired shows. But as for traditional animes like Dragon Ball Z, for example, I've never seen them before. And I don't really plan on it because it just, like I said, from what I have seen, it doesn't really look like it's my type of thing. And I don't really like to poop things that I haven't seen because I just can't really come up with as much good jokes. As for TV show, I have made TV show YTPs before, and I plan on making more in the future. For movie YouTube poops, that's a little bit tougher because it's, there's just so much more content to work with, and also that's going to be more likely to be caught for copyright, and so I kind of want to steer clear of movie YTPs, but I have, I've seen Lord of the Rings many times before, and so I think I could do a pretty good YouTube poop of Lord of the Rings, or at least a decent YouTube poop, I guess. So I might do that sometime in the future. And as for trailer YouTube poops, when I first got this comment, I was planning on saying, that I've never seen anybody do a trailer YTP before, but since then, I think it was just earlier today, I was on YouTube and I saw in one of my suggested for you things that had a YTP of a movie trailer, so I haven't actually seen what they look like or how they do it. I just can't imagine you could get much content out of that, but maybe someday, I don't know, if I find a good trailer that looks like it could be pooped, maybe I'll do it. And Electromusic Fan 47 also asks, what is your favorite movie, video game, and TV show? Well, like I just said, I've seen Lord of the Rings many times, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, all three of them. I think I've seen each one probably a good 30 or 40 times before, and I don't really rewatch movies that much anymore, but I mean, the third one I saw the third Lord of the Rings movie on my 10th birthday, and so it's been over half of my life that I've been able to see Lord of the Rings, so I've seen them many times before. So I'm not going to go with that answer, because that just kind of seems like a cheap answer to say that, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is my favorite movie. And plus it's 3 movies, so it's not really 1 movie. But anyway, aside from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, honestly, I think what I'm going to have to go for my favorite movie, it's the one movie that I can remember liking the most in recent times that I've seen, is Troll 2. And if you've never heard of Troll 2, it's because it's one of those movies that's really, really bad. Like, you've heard of movies that are so bad that they're good. This movie is so awful that it's awesome.
Can I help you?
Coffee.
There's no coffee here in Nilbog. It's the devil's drink.
Eggs.
Bacon. Are you crazy, boy? We're vegetarians here in Nilbog. Didn't you know that?
Like, I know it's on Netflix right now. If you happen to have a Netflix account, you should check it out. But it's hard to explain. You really have to watch it. The reason why I say that's my favorite movie is because the whole point of movies and TV shows in general is to entertain. There's nothing that says that you have to, teach some message in a movie or be relevant to the times or whatever. If you can do that, it's good. But it's really the main goal of a movie is to be entertaining. And Troll 2 was one of the most entertaining movies I've ever seen in my life because of how bad it is. For favorite video game, that's a bit of a tough choice. I'm not going to be able to narrow it down to one, so I'll just list off some of my favorites and, just say that they're all my favorite. I know I kind of said that saying 3 movies was kind of cheap, but it was a little bit easier to pick movie than it was for video games. I would have to list Super Mario World on my favorite games list because this was like the first video game I ever played, and it still holds up today. And honestly, I kind of prefer the Game Boy Advance port because it's similar enough to the original game to, you know, it is the original game, but it's also different enough so that it makes it worth it to buy a Game Boy Advance version, and then you can have it on the go. Really, the only thing I can think of to complain about is that the screen is kind of cropped. But the best part about this one is the fact that you can actually switch between Mario and Luigi, so you don't have to actually go to a two-player game, give all Mario's lives to Luigi, and then kill Mario just so you can play as Luigi throughout the rest of the game, because I did that all the time. The next game I'd have to list as my favorite game is Luigi's Mansion. And this was the first 3D Mario game I ever played, even though it's technically a spin-off. It was one of the first GameCube games I ever owned, aside from Super Smash Bros. Melee. Luigi's Mansion is just one of those games where it's really easy to beat for one thing. You know, you can beat it. I think I went through trying to find every single secret I possibly could, and that just took me, you know, I think like a week of just playing it like a couple hours a day. But I think that's kind of what makes it so good, is because then you can replay it anytime you want, and it's easy to play through and beat. And actually, you know, I kind of have an interesting story about Luigi's Mansion, because, you know, I played Luigi's Mansion I think when I was 11. I remember I got it on my 11th birthday, actually. And I played it a lot as a kid. And so I actually had a dream at one point, you know, when I was probably 11 or so this would have been about 10 years ago, that VeggieTales did a parody of Luigi's Mansion for their next VeggieTales movie episode thing. And it was one where Bob was captured in a mansion and Luigi had to go and save Mario. And it was called Luigi's Mansion. And I'm not sure how it was supposed to be spelled, but I know for sure that it was Luigi's Mansion, and so that's what I still to this day tend to call it, Luigi's Mansion, just because of that dream. And then, before I go on to the next game that I'm going to talk about, I will say that Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is definitely a really good game, but it kind of lost some of what the original game had. I think it's not quite as dark and creepy as the first game was, and it's still a really good game, but it's a notch below the original Luigi's Mansion. Another game that I like a lot, that is actually a pretty underrated game, is Super Mario Sunshine. This was the first 3D Mario game I ever played that was a true Mario game, not a spin-off. And I honestly think I like it better than Super Mario 64. Although I still really hate those watermelons. And the boats. Another game that I really liked, that I played a lot as a kid, around 11 or 12 years old, was Star Wars: The Knights of the Old Republic. And this is an RPG where it takes place, you know, in the Star Wars universe thousands of years before the Star Wars movies take place or something like that. And basically the main thing about this that I really liked is the fact that it was an RPG, and that you could choose to be good or evil depending on what you do. Like almost everything you do can give you light side points or dark side points, and I just really liked that as a kid, and I still like it as an adult. And then the last game that it might actually be my favorite if you're talking like how many times I would play it, because I have played it a lot of times and I probably will play it a lot of times in the future, and that's Age of Empires, or specifically Age of Empires 2, because that's way better than the first one. But the first one I played more than the second one, just because I didn't own the second one for a long time. But it's a really addictive game if you're into these type of games where you god games, I believe are what they're called, where you just basically you create armies and go and attack the opposing team, and you can choose different game modes where you have to actually like collect, you know, specific stuff in order to beat the game, but I always like to turn all that off and just make it so the only way you can win is by completely wiping out the enemy team, because that just makes the game last so much longer and it's much more fun. And then for my favorite TV show, it's Gravity Falls. Hands down. It used to be regular show. I got my cool regular show shirt that I got from CartoonNetwork.com. It's awesome. It's printed on the back too. But I still really like regular show. It's definitely my second favorite show. But Gravity Falls, once I found Gravity Falls, there's no comparison between Gravity Falls and regular show. Gravity Falls is the perfect show as far as I'm concerned. It's like if the X-Files and Lost had a baby, and that baby was adopted and raised by Phineas and Ferb and Family Guy, and that baby grew up with Twin Peaks as its role model. Just take all of the best elements from those 5 shows and get rid of all the bad and combine them together, and you have Gravity Falls. And if you haven't seen Gravity Falls yet, you definitely should. If you haven't seen anything from it and you don't know anything about it, don't look up any kind of spoilers or reviews or anything like that. You have to go start with episode 1 and work your way through. It's the best show in the world. It's hands down. But Regular Show is a good show too. Like I said, I didn't like Regular Show any less after I found Gravity Falls. I just liked Gravity Falls that much more. And then in a pretty close third place, just behind Regular Show, is The Walking Dead, which is another really good show. The Gaming Geeks ask, where do you get inspiration for all the poops? Well, The Things One is my favorite YouTube pooper, so I definitely try to emulate his style the best I can. And I just do what I think is funny, because I think Mobro Studios said this like almost exactly the way that I've been saying it for years, but basically it's just that if you try to please everybody, you're not going to please anybody, and especially not yourself. And when YouTube poops are concerned, you know, since they're just for fun, just kind of stupid little videos, you know, it's making yourself happy is the main thing about YouTube poops. You need to make yourself laugh and not worry about if other people are going to laugh, because if you think it's funny, chances are there's going to be other people who are going to think it's funny too. Another question from RCT3 is epic. What advice would you give a young pooper who can't afford anything better than Windows Movie Maker? I think the best advice I can give you is just to work with the equipment you have, and don't try to make stuff that you can't make with Windows Movie Maker. You know, like multi-layered stuff is something you can't do on Windows Movie Maker, so don't bother trying to do that, because it's just going to turn out looking awful if you do. Just try to figure out how to use the program itself and work with it. Like I said, you know, Windows Movie Maker, I actually downloaded the newest version just to see what it'd be like, and I can't figure it out. It's way different than the one on the Windows XP, but I'm sure if that's the first program you ever use, you could get used to it. So I'd say the best thing to do would just be to kind of work with basic, you know, more like YouTube poops from like the 2008, 2009, that period, you know, because there are some good ones. You can do some good jokes with just some basic splicing together sentences. It might not even hurt to actually just make some regular videos that are non-poop, just so you can get used to the setup of Windows Movie Maker and just get used to putting clips together and just making videos, you know, just for yourself, just for practice. And another thing that I would recommend too, if you're just using Windows Movie Maker, is to put that at the beginning of your YouTube poops. You know, that you're a beginner right now, you're just in the experimental stage, and this is, you know, maybe even number your YouTube poops, like say this is my first ever YouTube poop, and you know, this is my second ever YouTube poop, whatever, that kind of stuff. And then also I would say, you know, to try to save up for an editing program. I know it's really not that expensive if you don't go for the best editing program out there. Like my first program that I got when I upgraded from Windows Movie Maker was Sony Vegas Movie Studio, I think 5.0, and that's like really outdated, but I got it on eBay for like $40 or something like that, and it's way better than Windows Movie Maker. You can actually do a lot with it if you know how to use it. Best thing I can say is just to try to get used to using Windows Movie Maker, get used to basic editing, and work your way up to a better editing program. Christian Montenegro, or something, asks,
Booms.
Or
But
boobies. I really like them. They're way better than wings, because you know the wings are basically just a throwaway thing, except for with buffalo wings. And drumsticks are my favorite, and actually probably even like thighs better than boobies. But you know the boobies have a lot of meat on them, and if you grill them, they're really good. And you can get a lot of, like I said, you can get a lot of meat off of them. And you can get boneless, skinless ones, and you can dice those up and make them into tacos and fajitas and enchiladas and all kinds of good stuff like that. As opposed to with butt, you know, I like roast, but that's all you can really do with butt is roast, and it's good, but it's just not as big a variety. And you know, you can roast chicken. So yeah, boobies. Max Middleshirtz asks, why do you like making VeggieTales YTPs? Mostly because that's how I started with YouTube poops, was VeggieTales YouTube poops. And also, like I said before, it's best to make YouTube poops using content that you're familiar with. So I'm familiar with VeggieTales, so that's why I like to make VeggieTales YouTube poops. Sonic Wyvern, or Wyvern asks, are you doing the VeggieTales YTPs in order, or at least somewhat? No, not really in order. I was kind of planning on it at first, but then I kind of got out of order, and so I'm trying to keep it somewhat in order. Like I'm trying to do older VeggieTales videos before I work my way up to newer ones. Sonic W also asks, did you grow up with VeggieTales? Similar question came from Pretty Ponies, who asked, did you watch VeggieTales when you were little? Oh yeah, I watched VeggieTales a lot when I was little. I think I First started watching them when I was probably about 5 or 6, I think. And I probably watched VeggieTales more than anything else at all, really, up until I was about 11 or 12, when I kind of stopped, kind of slowed down. I still kind of watch them every once in a while, but not as much. Drawtoonz Studio asked, what's your favorite VeggieTales episode / video? My favorite VeggieTales episode is The Lord of the Beans, because as I said before, I've seen The Lord of the Rings multiple times before. Although honestly, even though that's my favorite VeggieTales episode, I never really liked the silly song that much. Marcus Fredrick asked, how long does it usually take you to make a YouTube poop? It probably takes about a month's worth of time. I'm not working on it the whole time, but like from when I first start working on the poop to when I finish, it's about a month. Because I work full time and I work, you know, actually I work 11 days straight. They're not long shifts, you know, sometimes they're only as long as like 3 hours long, but then I get three days off, a 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's why a lot of times my YouTube poops end up being uploaded on Sundays because, you know, like I said, I get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And so I'm working on it on Saturday a lot. And I work as a janitor, basically. A maintenance operator is what they call it, but it's basically just a janitor. And so I'm working at night. You know, I go into work at 8 p.m. and get off work, you know, sometime early in the morning. So I sleep during the day. And so when I'm working on the YouTube poops on Saturday, you know, I work on it through Saturday night into Sunday morning. That's usually when they get uploaded. And then I go to bed Sunday afternoon. This question wasn't actually left on my Q&A video, but I thought I'd answer it because I was so close to when I was making the Q&A video. But Bud asked, I love all your VeggieTales YTPs. What do you use to edit them? Well, like I said earlier, the first program I got outside of Windows Movie Maker was Sony Vegas. And so I've been using Sony Vegas ever since then. Right now I have, I think it's Sony Vegas HD Platinum 11. I don't know why it's such a long name, but it's, I think there's like 2 or maybe even 3 newer versions of it out. And I've never owned Pro before. Pro is a lot of money. I think I only paid like $100 or something like that for the one program that I'm using right now, and that was when it was brand new. You can probably get it for a lot cheaper now. And I also use Blender, which is a CGI program. I use that in only a couple of YouTube poops, I think. But I might end up using it more in the future, you know, for more complex poops. And you know, I've made CGI videos before with it. Blender is a free program that you can get online. It's pretty tricky to use. It's not something you can just download and just try to figure out on yourself. I got a book, I forget what it's called now. I'll put a picture of it up on when I'm making the video, but I got that on eBay for like $8, and that teaches you a lot of the basics of Blender, and comes with a disc that lets you install Blender, even though you can do that straight from the internet. It's, you know, you can do it right from there. It also has, I think, 2 or 3 other programs that you can use for like audio and picture editing that you can install from there. That's actually where I got my next program that I use, called GIMP, which is a weird name, but it's a picture editing program that's a free, it's like a free alternative to Photoshop, what I've heard. I've never actually used Photoshop, but it's another thing that's kind of tricky to use at first, but it actually, you can get some good work done with it if you know how to use it. And then the last program that I use is Paint. I know that a lot of big YouTube poopers say not to use Paint because it's a horrible program, but I think if you use it right, you can actually get away with some pretty decent stuff, at least I think. It's kind of like what I was saying earlier with Windows Movie Maker. You know, even though it's a program that people say is crap, if you know how to use it, it can actually be pretty handy. HeyApple Studios asks, so I decided to go out and make love to Bob's butt. Is that why I have a shoe on my head? No, those 2 events are not related to each other, but I think they do both say something about your mental instability. Connor Gualtieri, Connor G asks, will you do a World of Timmy YTP and add World of Timmy jokes on your next VeggieTales YouTube poop? Okay, so if there's anybody confused as to what World of Timmy is, it's, as far as I can tell, I'm pretty sure I'm getting this right, there's this YouTuber who took one of my YouTube poops, or a clip from my YouTube poop, a clip from the Madam Dudeberry and the Rareware Crackers, the silly song part of that, and re-uploaded that onto his or her channel. I forget who it is, but anyway, I think it's a he because I watched a little bit of World of Timmy and it was clearly a guy's voice. But anyway, I'm pretty sure World of Timmy is something that he does, and it's kind of cheaply made, flash animation or whatever. And so what Connor is asking is, will I use some of that guy's videos in my next YouTube poop. And like I said earlier, I don't like to use sources as a means of making fun of them. I also don't like to use sources that I'm not familiar with. And I think, you know, I'm not familiar with World of Timmy. I watched a little bit just to see what the heck it was, and it didn't interest me, so I didn't watch much of it. And I think that that's what Connor's getting at, is that I should make fun of that person because they stole one of my things. Which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because nobody knows what World of Timmy is. And so if they saw World of Timmy YouTube poop, that would be their first introduction to it. So it's basically like me going up to that person going, "You just pissed me off. Now I'm gonna make you famous." So, no, I will not be adding World of Timmy jokes in my next VeggieTales poop, and I will not poop World of Timmy because like I said, I'm not familiar with it, and I don't want to make fun of it. Joe Dak asks, favorite YTP of all time, if you have one? This is kind of a hard question, really, because as I was thinking about this, I kind of realized that YouTube poops don't really have a huge amount of rewatch value, if you know what I mean. Like, at least for me anyway, I watch a YouTube poop, and then, you know, I maybe watch it 2-3 times if I like it, 2-3 times within the first day or two. And then I don't really watch it again until weeks, months, or years later when I go back to it. But there are a few that I have watched multiple times, and 2 of them come from TheGamingGeekz 1. The first one being, I don't know the title off the top of my head, but I know it's a YTP of Les Mis. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one. But for some reason, it's just really quotable.
Your gun.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Fuck.
We were starving.
You'll starve again. Lord, Lord. You're a dangerous man. Yes, 666. Do not forget my name.
Yeah. So anyway, there's that one, and then there's, what's it called? Postman Tap, I think is what it's called. I might be wrong, but it's a Postman Pat YTP. I think TheGamingGeekz 1 said in the description that it was a way to experiment with sentence mixing, and it's another one that's pretty quotable, and it's really entertaining to watch.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat in black and white. Pat can break through your door. You really should lock your door. Pat feels he's Batman.
But then, the one that I think I'm going to give as my favorite YouTube poop is The Fesh Prince of Blair. There's just some parts in here that never cease to make me laugh, like this part in particular.
Women is a trip, Uncle Funkle. Let's say you accidentally scream out and they jumping all out the back of your car.
And after I watched those YouTube poops, I bought Season 1 of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I like the show now. I might poop it someday. DigiMega351 asks, what's your favorite YTP you made? So my favorite YouTube poop that I ever made was, for a while it was a story about some grapes and junk.
There's no escape from here, grapes, we are the
I've had it with these monkey-fighting snakes.
Don't commit suicide.
Actually, I think that's one of my least viewed videos, other than, you know, my non-VeggieTales YouTube poops, which have, you know, around 1,000 each. I think that all my VeggieTales YouTube poops, aside from my newest one, have more views than a story about some grapes and junk. And I still really like that one, but I guess rewatching it, I did realize the opening countertop scene is pretty slow, and it just seems kind of boring at first, but I think it kind of picks up, and I guess it kind of slows down again in the second half of it.
Gee, it's kind of bad out here.
But I still really like it, but that's not my favorite anymore. My favorite now is definitely, and I don't even know the correct title off the top of my head, but it's what I have titled on YouTube is This Poop's True Title is Too Long for YouTube.
I think the tomato thinks he's sexy, boss.
What are your names, boys?
I'm Stan.
I'm Jack. I'm a bumblebee.
And yeah, I guess I didn't realize that YouTube had a limit for how long you could make your title. Otherwise I would have come up with a better title for it. I was originally going to call it Ren and Stimpy and the Michael Rosen Factory, but then I realized that, well, for one thing, originally the chocolate bunnies were going to be chocolate Michael Rosens, which I canceled that. But the main reason why I changed it is because I was afraid people were going to think that it was Ren and Stimpy YouTube poop, which it isn't. DigiMega351 also asks, what your favorite joke you used in your YTPs? Well, I think the joke I'm going to have to go with, because this is one joke that I actually made myself laugh when I was editing it, which it takes a lot to make me laugh. Like, I can watch a YouTube poop and think it's hilarious and not even actually laugh out loud once. But the one joke that, when I was editing it, I was kind of tired, to be fair, but I kept kind of forgetting that I added that part, was the end of "This Poop's true title is too long for YouTube." Chaos Wolf 36 asks, do you plan on pooping all, or at least most of the VeggieTales episodes? I do plan on pooping most of the VeggieTales episodes, like all the ones that I've seen multiple times, which is like every single VeggieTales episode up until, not 100% sure which episode it was, but it was around 2005 or 2006. I know Lord of the Beans was one of the last ones that I remembered seeing, like being excited about seeing. Other than that, I've seen 2 or 3 other ones since then. Chaos Wolf 36 also says, also, you are the best YouTuber. So I know this isn't actually a question, but I'm still going to talk about it anyway. Thanks for the compliment, by the way, even though I don't think it's true, but, you know, whatever. You can have your own opinion. If you like me, that's awesome. So what I wanted to say is I don't always get around to replying to comments on my YouTube videos. Actually, I don't even think I do most of the time. I know I don't do most of the time. It's only every once in a while, like if it's a question. And it's not that I don't care about people saying, you know, that they liked my YouTube poop, or, you know, that they think that I'm a good pooper or whatever, which is weird to say out loud, but you know what I mean. But the reason why I don't reply to them is because I was planning on replying to every single comment I got when I first started my YouTube poop channel. And like I said earlier about my video getting a lot of views right away, that just became way too hard right away. And so I realized that if I was going to do that, it would basically just be, thanks, glad you liked it, replied to every single comment, and that would just seem like kind of a copy and paste thing. And I think that people would just kind of feel like, you know, I'm not really paying any attention to the comments, and that it's just kind of, I feel like I have to do that. And so if you say something on my videos and I don't reply to it, it doesn't mean that I don't care about what about your opinion or whatever. I do read every single comment I get, and I do appreciate all the compliments and all the criticism, which really isn't much criticism, really, which I do appreciate that too. But I do try to respond to every single question I get. If I haven't responded to a question, then I don't know why. I guess there have been a couple of questions where I just don't really know like what they're talking about or how to respond to that question. But for the most part, I do try to respond to every single question. WebkinsRocks98765 asks, will there be a Josh and the Big Wall YTP? Like I said before, I do plan on pooping every single episode that I've seen multiple times, and that is one of the episodes that I've seen many times. WebkinsRocks98765 also asks, are you a Christian? Yes, I am, and I have been for, I think it was before I started watching VeggieTales, actually. I grew up in a Christian house, and I've been a Christian ever since then. And that's actually what I do outside of making YouTube poops a lot of times, is making videos for my church. And actually one of the reasons that I did start doing YouTube poops is to kind of brush up on my video editing, you know, so I don't get rusty at it. Because I don't do a whole lot of videos for my church, but I do every once in a while, and I was noticing I was kind of tending to, you know, like I said, get rusty at video editing and stuff, and so, especially Blender. And so that's why, one of the reasons I kind of do YouTube poops is just so I can kind of get used to new techniques on how to use the software that I'm using, and just basically so that I don't forget anything, you know. Veronica Gonzalez asks, now that you made a fib from outer space YTP, by the way, that was hilarious, will you consider Rumor Weed and Bad Apple YTPs in the future? Again, like I said, I'm going to be doing all the older VeggieTales episodes, and Larry Boy and the Bad Apple is one of them that I have seen before. Not too many times, to be honest, probably only about 4 or 5, but I do plan on doing that one eventually. And the Rumor Weed, I don't think I saw that one as much as the Fib from Outer Space, and so that one will get made too, but I don't have any jokes planned out for either one at the moment, so that's probably going to be, both of those are going to be quite a ways down the road. Roboel M VGCPOWNTPNGSFTB MPTEIT GCAEC ISAO CHA asks, Can you do a YTP on the VeggieTown values? Greetings from Bob and Larry. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=k6pc3eoignw. That is the YTP source. I might eventually, that is a VeggieTales thing, and it's an older VeggieTales thing, but I haven't seen it. It's made for, it's a VBS program thing, I'm pretty sure. I've seen a little bit of it, and I might end up pooping that eventually. Again, like I said, it's something that I haven't seen, so I might not. Maybe there's nothing really worth pooping in there, but I'll definitely check it out and see what I can do. Mr. Needlemouse asks, Jimmy Davis, if were you to poop the toy that saved Christmas around Christmas time, and would you do an Easter carol around Easter time? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did think about that at one point, to do a toy that saved Christmas YTP around Christmas and then an Easter carol around Easter, because that just seems to make sense, and time is actually going by really fast. I started in October, and it's already July, mid-July. Whoop Do Crafter asks, why do you have to be so dang good at making these VeggieTales poops? Stop being so good at it! Okay, want a bad VeggieTales YouTube poop for me? Here, you can have it.
Time for the theme song. Yeah, Bob. What do I do?
Actually, while I'm on the topic of that video, I should specify that's definitely my least favorite poop I've ever made, and what I want to do is, on the 1 year anniversary of when I first uploaded, I want to upload a sort of special edition version of it where I take out all of the crappy jokes and all the unedited stuff and tweak some of the jokes to make them a little bit better and add some new stuff, and so it'll be sort of a new thing but similar to the other one, kind of like I'm calling it special edition version because of the Star Wars special edition. If you don't know anything about that, go look it up. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, just so you know. I will not be pooping Star Wars, but I do happen to know about the special edition of Star Wars. Woody's Wood asks, why do I have a shoe on my head? Because you thought it'd help you grow an extra foot? Obnoxiouslyme asks, can you do a Pac-Man poop or a CDI poop, please? Pac-Man? You mean like this? Or are you talking about that TV show? Because I haven't actually seen the TV show. And as I specified earlier, I don't like to do stuff I haven't seen. But that's on Netflix, so maybe I'll see it and see if I can come up with anything. And as for the CDI, it's kind of what I was saying earlier about Michael Rosen, how there's already been so many poops of the CDI that it's kind of hard to come up with original content. Although I do actually have an idea planned out that I think I'm going to make a story-based CDI YTP in the future, so maybe that'll happen eventually. Obnoxiously also asks, can you please make a Max and Ruby YouTube poop, please? Again, I've never seen it. I looked it up on YouTube and it's like a kid's show. I know I've seen pictures of it somewhere, like a book or maybe a VHS copy of it in some place, but I've never actually seen it before. So, and again, like I said, again and again, I don't like to poop stuff that I'm not familiar with. So, probably won't happen. I should specify right now that I do take requests, but I don't take orders. I know that you're just asking me to do these, but I'm just saying that you can ask me to do a YouTube poop of a specific source. I'm not going to automatically turn you down just because you asked me to do it. But if you're telling me to do it, then I'm not going to listen to you. And like I said, I know that you're asking here, and I appreciate that you're not trying to tell me, force me to do it. But just for any future references, if you have anything to request, go ahead and request it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to make it. Taylor Smith asked, can you do a YTP on A Chipmunk Christmas, Jimmy Davis? I never watched Alvin and the Chipmunks. I watched the movie where it's Alvin and the Chipmunks and the Chipettes are going around the world on a hot air balloon, and it was weird. I don't like the Chipmunks. I just don't. The movie wasn't that bad, actually, as far as movies based on cartoons go. Way better than Garfield. That was horrible. Why did they do that to Garfield? ShazapzTV asked, do you dance like the skeleton? Like the what? The skeleton? Like the Jack Skellington? Like this Jack Skellington? How does he dance?
No! It burns!
Yeah, I don't dance like that. And finally, ScreenFranki64 asked, what is your next YTP going to be? Thanks for asking. Here's a clip of it.
No.
Okay, so that's all the questions. Thanks for all the questions, by the way, and thanks if you made it this far for sitting through all the way through this. I know it was probably not all that entertaining, but hopefully I was able to make something that's worth watching. So if you did actually like this, then you can just let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and if you think I should do another Q&A someday, because I would be willing to do another Q&A at some point in time if you guys are willing to sit through another one of these things. And also, you can feel free to use this video as a source for YouTube poops if you see something in there that you want to make a YouTube poop of. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I would actually love to see that, but that probably won't happen. But if it does happen, that's cool. I'll watch it. So I'm not really sure how to end one of these things, so... I don't know how to end this. I really don't know how to end this. Yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. No, that's stupid.